All right, so here's the Miata. I'm doing a coolant change. I should have took video before I took everything apart. So let's look at, so this is the passenger side. Let's look at the driver's side because it's basically almost pretty much symmetrical. So I had to take all these plastic rivets off here. I even took off this little air dam thingamabob in here with the there's two rivets there. It's two putt rivets there. Excuse me, plastic rivets and two screws there along here. So you see all that, right? So when you take this thing off, you can actually move this aside. Taking the dam part off of here, right? That air dam. When you take the air dam off, once you get all the rivets off and the screws off, you have to slide it because you see how it's like a slot. So you have to slide it inwards. Then it comes off. Then you move this thing down. Underneath here, there's screws up there. So let's look at it on this side. See how the screw right there? Right in the center right there. So there's two more screws hidden behind this baffle here. So once you have all that, you could move this down far enough where you can actually reach in here and reach the drain valve for the coolant. So right along here, you can't see it because of the, there it is right there. See that little hole right there? See that hole right there? So that's where the coolant drain is. So you unscrew that, not all the way. Unscrew it because where it's a thumb screw, right? It's a plastic thumb screw that goes in like so, like that. So once you unscrew it, it comes out. Then underneath, there's a little drain hole that where it should drain out. It unscrews the thumb screw all the way. It will shoot outwards, and it won't be able to drain straight down that hole. So I unscrewed it. Now I could basically release some because now it's not draining now because it's all vacuum. It wants to drain out, but there's a vacuum in there. So I'm gonna open up the sensor cap here, not the radiator cap. Open up the overflow cap, and it should start draining. I hope. I'm trying to listen to it. I don't hear nothing. Okay, I guess I have to open this up then. I was hoping to just open up this and release the vacuum if there was any type of vacuum, but it seems like there isn't. Okay, so before you do any of this, make sure you warm up the you don't have to warm it up. Turn on the engine. Oh, I don't have my keys with me. Turn on the engine. Turn on the heater. Right, turn on the heater, full heat. Full heat. Then once you feel a little bit of warmth, don't turn off the heater, don't turn off the fan. Just leave it on the heater, leave it on the fan, and just turn off the ignition and shut down the engine. That way, the heater core in here, there's a valve in there. When you turn on the heat, that way it opens the heater core and the valve stays open. Because if you don't turn it on, you could drain all this out you want, but the heater core, the coolant that's inside the heater core, will stay in there. It won't drain out, so it's still old coolant. And you want to run it for a little bit, so that way it'll cycle through. So anyways, yeah, so do that, and so I don't hear anything coming down. Let's look at this coolant real fast. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's pretty damn dark. I'm not sure what color it is. It looks greenish to me, but it's pretty dark green though. So this is the 2016. 2016, I think it was manufactured in 2015. So basically it's 9 years old, and I'm not sure how long of a life this coolant is. This is still the original coolant. I never changed this coolant. And as far as I know, I don't think the original owner changed it either, because I bought this thing in 2018. And back then it only had 2,500 miles. So I know for sure the original owner didn't change the coolant. So it's still original coolant. So it's been 9 years now. Again, I'm not sure, master coolant, I'm not sure how long their coolant life is. I'm not sure if it's like a 10-year coolant or what. Like for example, you look at Toyota, they use a red dye color coolant. That coolant's good for 10 years. 10 years, or I think mileage is 150,000 miles, whichever comes first, right? Then you have like Subaru, I think Subaru, Honda. I'm not too sure on Honda because my Honda Fit wasn't blue, but Subaru's blue. I think Nissan's also blue. They use a blue dye instead of a red dye like Toyota does. Well, actually, no, I think Subaru. Yeah, that's right. Subaru's blue because I just changed the Subaru. It's blue. So my Honda Fit is a 2015. So it wasn't. It was like a greenish color. So Honda's coolant they use is good for 6 years. I think it's 6 years. 6 years, 50,000 miles or 60,000 miles. I think it's 6 years, 60,000 miles. But anyways, Mazda one, I'm not sure which one they use. I don't think they use red or green. Red or blue. I think they use a green type too, similar to Honda's. So anyways, I think the coolant's overdue. But my car only has it's under 30,000 miles. It's almost 30,000 miles. Another couple hundred miles and it'd be 30,000 miles. So let's see. So I changed I open it up. And I open this up. Since nothing's coming down, I don't hear nothing. I'm gonna open up the cap. So right now the cap is cool to the touch, so it's safe to open. Right? If it's warm to the touch, it's probably pressurized. Be mindful. So when you open this up, don't open all the way. Just do the first click right there. That right there releases the pressure. You still can't take it off. See that? I'm pulling it off, but can't take it off. So that's the first one. The second one, if you do the second one, then you could actually take this off, like so. Right? So hopefully it's gonna be draining. This right here down here is still full. So yeah, so I'm hoping that should be draining. Oh man, this thing still is not moving anywhere. I don't see nothing moving. So let's see what's going on here. There's still a vacuum somewhere. Oh, wait a minute, I think I hear something. Yeah, okay, now I see coolant coming down. It's dripping down slowly, but it's coming down. And that's pretty normal. So anyways, yeah, so I think that's whatever vacuum's in there right now. It's creating a vacuum, and I might have to kind of loosen up that drain valve a little bit more, unscrew that drain valve slightly, maybe another half turn or so. So I'm going to go back underneath and do that. But anyway, so that's how you drain it out. Or maybe I should have unscrewed it a little bit more and left this closed, so that way, because I was hoping it would suck out this coolant in here. Actually, let me see if I can still do that. Let's try that. Let's close this back up. So that way it forms a vacuum. Maybe I open the drain valve a little bit more, see if it siphons, because I wanted to siphon out the reservoir. That way I don't have to take the reservoir off, or actually the reservoir is hardly easy to take off too. Yeah, actually it is pretty easy to take off. So I might just I'll leave this open. I'll just take off the reservoir. That way it'd be easier. I'll show you that once I drain everything out. So I'm gonna go back underneath and open it up. So stay tuned. Okay, so yeah, it was just a matter of unscrewing the drain plug, another half turn, and it started to come out. So there it goes. I can't remember if I plug up that reservoir or not. Excuse me, not the reservoir, the cap. Hope the cap's still open. Let's see if I could. Let's see if this works. Not sure this is gonna suck out the coolant in here or not. It might be too late because there's too much air. Because there's so much air already. It might be too late. Let's see. I'm looking right here. It's still full. It's not moving. Yeah, I don't see it moving. Yep, it's too late. Anyway, it's too late. That's okay. Leave that open. Okay, so that means I could actually take off the coolant reservoir here. Oops. So here, what you do here, you can actually see there's a clip right here. See this clip right here? You just push that back and it actually lifts up this side as well. And I think that's it. I think that's the only thing that's holding the coolant. But I won't know until I actually pull this thing off. Shoot, I can't get my hand with one hand. Okay, I need to turn off the camera and do this with 2 hands. Okay, yeah, so I was right. So unclip that side and unclip this side. Now the reservoir is off. So yeah, so it looks green to me. See that? So it looks like green coolant. So there you go, it's green coolant. It's pretty damn dark too. Let's pour it in here. Let's pour it in the my tank here. It looks pretty clear, but it was pretty dark, right? Well, you guys saw it. It seemed pretty dark to me, so. So yeah, there's a little bit of crud in there. You see that? It's dirtiness. It's not focused, but it's in there. So anyways, yeah, I'm gonna wait for this to drain and we'll be back. So I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna rinse this out. Because it's dirty in there. Come on, focus. See that? All the crud in there? I'm gonna flush this out. I'm gonna rinse it out with water and clean it up. All right, so it seems like it's drained out, and I actually rinsed out my reservoir here, so you can actually see it's all cleared out now. So I'll clean. All right. So I'm gonna leave that empty. Leave that empty, and everything's rinsed out. Let's look down here and see if it's so I don't see any coolant anymore draining. So now I'm gonna close that plug, right? I'm gonna close that plug back up. I'm gonna fill the engine up with distilled water. I have I think almost 2 gallons. This is a 2.5 gallon water bottle here. 2.5 gallons. It looks like probably just shy of 2 gallons, I think. So if this is 2.5 gallons, this is probably 1.5 gallons, and I probably have 1.5 gallons of distilled water here. So hopefully that's enough. I think it is, because my tray here, seems like the tray is only about half full, and I think this tray is about 2 gallons, I believe, somewhere around there. So I think that's only like maybe a gallon or a little bit over a gallon in the engine. So let's plug that up and fill this distilled water. So I'm underneath. I need to shut or close that drain plug, right? So let's look at the drain plug real fast. Let's see if we can see it. Push this out of the way to move this thing out. It's still dripping a little bit, which is fine. So if you look in there, you actually see the drain plug right there, the white drain plug. It's a plastic plug. It's basically, you know, it's a thumb screw, right? So it's plastic. There's an O-ring on it, so you should be able to screw it on and screw it off with just your bare hands. And I'm using my left hand. I'm right-handed, so my left hand is my weak hand, and I was still able to unplug it, and I'm gonna, unscrew it, and now I'm gonna, tighten it back up again, and fill it with distilled water. All right. So earlier I had what was it, like somewhere around right here, right? So I think I only poured in maybe about a gallon. So it's only about a gallon, so it's already full up. So right now it's just distilled water only, right? And right now what I'm doing with distilled water only is that I'm gonna flush the system out. So you can see it's full. I'm started up. I'm gonna run it with the cap open. The reason why you run it with the cap open when it's when everything's cold is that there's air bubbles somewhere in the system. There's gonna be air bubbles. So when you leave the cap open, it's gonna burp out right here, and the coolant or the water level, the fluid level is gonna drop. Then I'm gonna keep on topping it off. It's gonna keep on, as long as there's bubbles in there, air bubbles in there, it's gonna keep on burping out. And I'm gonna keep on topping it off until all the bubbles out. And when it's finished bubbling out, when you don't see the bubbles anymore, and the water level doesn't drop anymore. It just stays there. If it stays there, or if it starts, or the water level starts to actually rise, that means it's all burped out, and the fluid level is actually getting warmer. So that's why it's expanding. That's why it's rising. Okay. All right. So the water level is already coming down. You see it bumping out. Right. There's air bubbles bumping out, and the water level is actually dropping. See that? It's dropping. So I'm gonna add some more water to it, and then basically I'm gonna do that until the thing stabilizes. All right, so I need 2 hands to use that jug, so you won't see me do on camera, but that's what I'm doing. Okay. All right, so it stopped bubbling. and it stopped dropping down, so that means it's pretty much topped off. I'm gonna let it run until it gets warm. You see some bubbles. I think that's just probably from the water boiling. Because if it was actual air bubbles, and it went up, the water level would drop. Or you see the water level actually rising, so that means it definitely is getting warm. Oh, it dropped a little bit. Oh, see that? It dropped. So maybe when it dropped like that, that might have been the what is it called? The thermostat. Maybe the thermostat might have opened. But you know, right now it's still the top of the engine is warm, but the coolant hose right here is still cold. Doesn't feel warm at all. So yeah, so it's not really changing. So I'm gonna cap it. I'm just gonna let it run for 15 minutes or whatever. So that way it could actually get hot. So that way the thermostat opens, and that's what I want. I want the thermostat to open. So yeah, I'm just gonna cap it because the level stays consistent. It rises, it's rising, then all of a sudden it drops a little bit. So I think when it drops, that's when the thermostat opens a little bit. So I'm just gonna cap it, and again, I'm gonna let it run for about 15 minutes. And I actually also have the heater on too. I have the heater at full heat, but the fan speed only 1 instead of the fan speed at the very minimum. So I just barely want the fan to just barely run, because I don't want the heater core to cool down the coolant too much, because I want the thermostat to open, right? Because if you turn the heater at full heat, but at the same time full fan, the highest fan speed, that might cool the coolant so much that it won't get hot enough to open up the thermostat in 10-15 minutes. But if I only leave it at 1 fan, the slowest fan speed at a full heat, it still opens, it's still circulating through the heater core, but at the same time, hopefully it's gonna get warm enough where the thermostat will open. Okay. And my water level here, it's still, I still have like a gallon or so left. So again, when I started, I was about right here, so I think I only use up about a gallon of the distilled water. All right, while I'm waiting for that thing to warm up, I can feel this part right here is getting warm. Over here it's still cool. Yeah, it's still cool right here. But the reservoir I left empty, right? It's still unattached. I left it empty. Let's peep in it real fast. So there's some water in there. So that means some of the coolant is expanding a little bit. So that's good. That's what you want. That means if the water spills out of that means there's pretty much no more air bubbles in the system. So while we wait for that to warm up, let's look at my coolant that I'm using. So I'm using Walmart Supertech brand. This is concentrated, so that means I have to mix it, and I already did. So I'm using I emptied. This was a windshield washer. It's empty, and I cleaned out the inside. So I poured. This thing is 1 gallon. 1 gallon means 4 quarts. So here's the measurement reading. You guys probably can't see it, but I can see it. So this is 2 quarts right here. 2 quarts. That means that's 2 quarts is half, right? So I drained it out. I drained this out into here till I got halfway. Then after that, I fill the rest of this up with distilled water here and distilled water here. So now this is mixed with distilled water. So it's pretty much a 50-50. It might be a little bit more water. It might be like maybe slightly more water than because this is, let's see, 3 quarts. So let's see, 2 quarts, 3 quarts, 2, 3. So 4 is probably about right here. So 4 is around here somewhere. So it's about right here somewhere, right? I feel this thing all the way up to the bottom of the neck. So I probably have like slightly more water in here. So it's probably like, I don't know, maybe as much as 55, 45. No, I don't think it's that much. It's probably more like 52 or 53, 47, 48 coolant, water to coolant. So same thing with this. When this is full of 1 gallon. I think it's only about somewhere around right here somewhere. Yes, I think it's somewhere around here. And I fill it a little bit extra. Another 4 ounces, 8 ounces or so extra. So so slightly more water to coolant ratio, and which is fine. It's no big deal. All right, so that's what I'm using, and the reason why I use this, why I like to use this, well, one is cheap because it's concentrated. If you buy the 50/50 stuff premix, it's more expensive because you're only getting 1 gallon. Well, with this, you're getting 2 gallons, right? You just need to get distilled water, right? So other reason why I use this is this type of coolant is for all mix and models. So it doesn't matter what coolant you have. You can actually mix this coolant with other types of coolant, and it's no harm. Because normally, if you have, like, for example, if you have like a yellow coolant, you don't want to mix it with red coolant or green coolant, whatever. You don't want to mix different coolants, because that will actually cause problems. That will actually cause the coolant to, when you mix coolants and they're not compatible, what happens is the coolant will actually start to thicken and turn to gel, basically. So if that happens, it's not clog up your cooling system, right? But this stuff right here, this all make, all model coolant, is kind of a universal, and it could mix with anything, and it has no problems. So that's why I like to use this, because I know it's safe, so I don't have to worry about using this, using that, whatever. I could use this with anything. So yeah, so that's why I use this stuff. And this stuff is good for, let's see, 5 years or 150,000 miles. So in another 5 years, I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna empty out the coolant and flush it out, and then add a new coolant. As you get the newest stuff, instead of 5 years, it's 10 years. 10 years, 150,000 miles, and that's like that's like Toyota's red color. Toyota's red color is like they call it hybrid organic acid technology, HOAT, right? So there's like different types of coolants. There's organic acid technology. There's OAT. There's HOAT, hybrid. There's so OAT is organic acid technology. There's so that's organic. There's inorganic acid. So example, Toyota's red coolant is actually a variation of HOAT. It's a variation of hybrid organic acid technology. So it's actually PHOAT. P stands for phosphorus hybrid organic acid technology. So that's basically what all the Japanese cars use. They all use some variation of hybrid organic. So with Toyota, or basically red, if you use the red coolant, that would be PHOAT. If you use the blue coolant, that's meant for Japanese. It's also PHOAT. It's actually the same coolant. It's just a different dye. Red dye versus the blue dye, right? But it's the same stuff. It's both. They're both phosphorus hybrid organic acid technology, and they all use the same base though. They all use glycerin. What is it? That glycerin glycol was what hit us here. Excuse me, ethylene glycol. Ethylene glycol is what they all use. So the HOAT coolant is based on this ethylene glycol. And this one is this premium ethylene glycol. It's free of phosphorus, so there's no phosphorus. So this is not a PHOAT. Free of borates, nitrates, silicates, any of those stuff. That's why this thing is compatible with all those other stuff, because it doesn't have any of this stuff. So like, for example, if you use the phosphorus one, you can't use that with the silicate one. So the HOAT, there's two types of HOATs. There's a PHOAT, which is P is phosphorus, and there's an SHOAT. SHOAT is used for European cars, and the S stands for silicates. So you cannot mix the silicate with the phosphorus. If you mix those two together, even though they're both HOAT based, but you can't mix the phosphorus and the silicate. If you mix those two together, the coolant will actually start to some of it will start to gelatinize, and it starts to have debris in it, so it won't be clear and fluidy anymore. So that's why you can't mix it. But this stuff, since it doesn't have any of that stuff, That's why it's able to mix with everything else. That's why it's safe to use this on every every type of coolant. That's why I use it, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about any of that stuff. Yeah, so that's a spill on this universal coolant. So Prestone also makes it the universal one too. You buy Prestone, and they also say all models, it's the same coolant as the Supertech. Okay, ethylene glycol base. It's ethylene glycol base, right? So all those Holt, they're all ethylene glycol base, but it's just a matter of adding phosphorus or silicates or whatever, right? Okay. So anyway, so that's a spill on the coolant. All right, so I ran it long enough. Everything's hot now, so this is hot to the touch, and that's how actually the fan. I'm sure you guys can see the fan spinning. So usually when the fan spins, that means you should let it spin through one cycle. That means for sure it's warm enough for the thermostat to open. I'm gonna use a thermal gun right here. Let's see the hose right here. So here it's 168. Over here it's 172. And that's outside of the hose. The coolant itself inside is probably even warmer. So yeah. So now I'm gonna shut off the engine, drain out all that distilled water. So that was basically my flush, right? My heater is still on, right? Maximum heat, but the lowest fan speed right here. The lowest fan speed is still on, so let's turn it off. So let's turn it off. All right, so now it's off. Now I'm gonna give it a few minutes to cool down a little bit because it's hot. So give it like 15 minutes or so to cool down, so that way you don't burn yourself. Actually, this is not too hot. It's warmer here, so I'm leaving it on there for so it's not burning me. So that means it's not too hot. But here, oh yeah, that's hot. I can only leave it on there for maybe less than 5 seconds, so that's hot. Let's see the level in here. Did this change? Looks like the level maybe slightly went up a few millimeters, not too much, which is fine. So yeah, so give it about 15 more minutes to cool down. I'm gonna open up the drain plug, drain that all out, and then once that drains out, I can fill up my my pre-mixed. I mixed up the coolant already, 50-50 more or less. So I'm gonna put that in, and I'm gonna call it good. Button everything back up, and I'm gonna call it good. All right, so everything's buttoned up back here. Close up the drain valve, right? Let's look up this hole right here. You can see the drain valve right there. See it? See the thumb screw, right? Oops, the thumb screw right there. Anyways, that's plugged up. Everything here is buttoned up, so we're all good. Now we could go back up on top and fill up the coolant. Now I already put back the reservoir, and I filled up the reservoir. I actually filled it just a little past full, because I know that that there's gonna be some air bubbles in the system, and it's gonna burp out. And when the thing's hot, all those air bubbles burp out, and when it cools down, it will suck the coolant back in, and that level will drop down a little bit. So here's the old coolant and a little bit of the flush right there. Here's the new coolant. So this was what I put in the reservoir right here. All right, let's put my funnel in here. Funnel in coolant. So basically, just pour it in like so, right? I'm gonna do this off camera. I'm gonna use 2 hands so I get less tired. This is extending your hand out. It's kind of exhausting. Interesting. So it's full. I literally just like barely just empty out this jug here. So seems like this all the way up to the base of the neck here was enough. So now I just need to start up the engine and burp it out. and see how much we could pour in into this. Let's see. All right, started up the motor and it burped out right away, so it dropped right away. So whatever's left in here, pour it out. All right, so that's still not full. Remember this whole jug all the way to the top of the the neck of the base of the neck of the bottle was full, and I filled up the reservoir first, right? And I filled up the reservoir, and it came down to, I think, about right here or so, right? So I'm gonna pour in this stuff just so this thing is full too. This is all the way to the neck right here as well. So let's see how much we can pour in from this. Pretty much up to the neck. So again, I'm gonna do it off screen because I need 2 hands. So I poured in only like, literally only like somewhere between 2 ounces to 4 ounces, and it overspilled. So that means it wasn't much. I think whatever I had that I put in the reservoir, see how it's past the full mark? If I didn't put it past the full mark, whatever was past the full mark was in here, it would have been full. So basically it would have been like literally the whole entire 1 gallon all the way to the end of the neck, and it would have been okay. So anyway, so right now it's bubbling, but I don't see the fluid level dropping. Well, it's not dropping much. So that tells me that it's probably full already. Whatever is bubbling is either it might be just boiling, but it can't be boiling because I just barely turned on the engine, so it shouldn't be boiling that fast. But okay, now I don't want it to overflow again. So it's like wanting to overflow, but it drops down a little bit. I think when the oops, it's gonna overflow. I'm gonna cap it. Yeah, it's not really dropping. As the bubble comes out, it's not really dropping. So I'm gonna cap it. So cap it, and basically run it until the fan kicks in. Actually, I could just drive. You could just drive it. What you do is you drive it like normal, and just pay attention to your coolant reservoir as it cools down. At the end of the day, when you park overnight, it cools down. That reservoir will drop down, and just top it off from here. And in the morning, you can also double check here, but you shouldn't have to check here because whatever air that's there, it pushes out here. Then when it cools down, it sucks back the fluid that's in here back in there. So that should top it off. That should automatically top it off. So all you have to do is just top this off, and it should be fine. But again, you can double check here if you want, but when it's cold. But I don't think you have to. That's about it. That's I'm pretty much done. So basically, it just needs just a little bit over a gallon and some, including the reservoir. If you don't include the reservoir, a gallon should fill this up, and whatever's left over, you can fill this up. But when you fill this up, it won't go all the way full. It'll probably be like somewhere halfway maybe. I don't know. It should go at least a minimum, but personally I'd rather have it full. But anyways, yeah, so I'm gonna call it good, and we're done. That's it. Now I just need to clean up. All right, thanks for watching.